if you're running gap scheme, it's becoming really common, to run this off of gap scheme kind of concepts. Now, we actually did a video about that earlier. So we're going to talk about split zone. We're going to talk about power switch. And we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff to go with it, whether that's RPO, play action, bootleg. We've got some great clips as well. So talking specifically about split zone, one of the most important things I think for coaches to understand is this is a simple install. If you already run zone, you're just talking about slicing the backside defender or bringing the fullback or H-back across to block that backside defender. And I think that itself makes it something coaches should look at using. Also, just coaching high school age defensive linemen myself, this is a great way to attack teams that want to over penetrate. Both these plays take advantage of defensive ends who want to get up the field, aggressive defensive ends, which I think at the lower levels, there's tons of opportunity to do. It's a great way to try and even the battle if you're playing a great defensive end or a great edge player, forcing them to have to choose between being, upfield where they want to be and, kind of in their gap in the line of scrimmage is a great way to even the battle there. So really it's just inside zone up front. Some people call this backside zone. The way I like to read it, you see the red line there. We're reading off the backside defensive tackle. You can still read through the front side defensive tackle to the backside defensive tackle. There's lots of great stuff both on our channel and other places on inside zone. So I'm not going to, hammer inside zone details specifically. But ultimately, we're going to block the 5 play side players. And because of the split zone action, we're going to expect some movement in those linebackers. So, we're expecting those linebackers to come across the set. Whether they're tracking with the Sam or they're sliding the linebackers like we have drawn up here, you're going to get ultimately an unblocked player on the backside. You're hoping to kick out that defensive end, okay, and root him out of his C gap. And that's going to put 2 players in the D gap and give you that cutback lane if the defense flows front side. If the defense doesn't flow front side with the zone, you can hit it front side. But the concept of split zone is really taking an offensive player, cutting across the set to block a player on the back side of the run. And typically you'll see this cut back a ton. So just taking a look at a quick clip here. This is a Western clip from this year running split zone. I say this year, last year now. You'll see the fullback cross the set, kick out the defensive end who's upfield. Right. Receivers do a great job blocking, and it's like a 14, 15-yard gain. There's a lot of Western clips tonight. They do this stuff really well. I think what's amazing about their run game is it really translates, to other levels, not because it's simple. They dress it up in a ton of different ways, but because what they do, I think takes advantage of defense's mistakes. And you're going to see that even more in high school. So you see the cutback there from the tight. All right. It's just simple inside zone to the front side again. We're going to end up blocking the backside defensive end with the fullback. You see the end get upfield here, right? That's going to create this opportunity. You got these heavy double teams pushing everything front side, okay? And then you're going to get the chance to cut back. Here they do a variation, which I call split zone crack, where you're going to bring the backside slot in to block the will. And we have that drawn up here in a few minutes. But, you'll see here, huge crease on the backside. 39 can't really be right. If he fits front side, the double's ready. If he fits backside, the double's ready. And because they get the extra slot in here, they're really +1 on the backside. So this cuts back. Great hit, great run. So that's kind of a look at, what's pure split zone. Why do I like split zone? Forces post-snap adjustment from the defense, right? And anytime you can do that, you're moving pieces after the snap of the ball. The defense has minimal time to adjust. That run fit has to adapt or change post-snap. So the linebackers are in one position. Post-snap, they got to move to another. You got great leverage, right? Everyone in this scheme has good leverage. You don't have to create leverage. By bringing the player from the opposite side of the field, they're in a great leverage position to ultimately, get their job done. The zone stuff up front is zone blocking if you already do that. Great. If you don't, one of the things I really, really like about zone blocking is, you're going to get doubles that fit the same almost every time. So now your big men up front are in a position where they're used to handling those things. And ultimately your running back can read a number of different plays. The same with zone blocking, which is super helpful. Downhill with big play potential. 3-down football, you got to minimize negative runs, right? If you have negative runs, you don't have a functioning offense. So you need your runs to get you +3 every time. Hopefully you're getting 4, 5, 6, but you can't have, -1, 0, -2 runs. So it's a downhill run, which gives you that opportunity to have low risk, but also because of the post snap, run fit change and your ability to build things off it. It's a low risk, high reward play, in my opinion. Sets up a variety of concepts. You can do a ton of stuff off this. And I think that's one of the strengths when you look at how Western does it. Even into some of the NFL systems, a lot of their stuff is built off of this look. But you're able to get to a ton of different plays, including explosives. And you kind of get gap scheme angles with zone scheme technique, which I really like. If you're always running gap scheme stuff, I think that's great. One of the downsides of gap scheme is, the doubles can change a little bit. And you're going to get different looks based on how teams handle pullers and things like that. Zone is a little simpler for your guys up front. But at the same time, you're able to get the great angles you get out of a gap scheme concept. So now we're just going to take a look at a few variations of split zone that I really like. This is the one we saw in that first clip there. Split zone crack. So, no RPO threat or anything here. It's going to be a run all the way. I drew it up with both sides kind of cracking down. So you're not going to crack in the traditional way where you're trying to knock the defender inside and kind of block down. You're actually going to try and fit them up and square them up. So really this H is just protecting if the Sam is going to blitz off the edge. That's one defensive adjustment to playing this kind of split zone is don't force this Sam to go play in with the double. Let him shoot it off the edge. And you can pick him off with the H there, kind of coming down in a most dangerous man situation. But where it's really beneficial on the backside. So if we're anticipating a string from the linebackers, now our W receiver can come in, and this Will should be flying outside. If he's not, we have a few wrinkles for that in a minute. But now this Will is going to step up outside, and now your W receiver can come in, fit in, block him up, and now all of a sudden you're able to get that cut back like we saw in that first clip. Thanks to all the guys that are throwing some comments in there. It helps other people find it. So the algorithm basically works that the more people who comment on this, the more people it's going to send it out to that might view it, just as they're going through YouTube. So the likes and the comments are huge for that. So I appreciate the coaches that have already thrown some stuff in there. That's great. So second variation, zone slice. This is, CFL run game 101. Now, if you got, that should say N, not W. If you got your defensive end here crashing inside, now you can read that defensive end and slip your fullback or your slip player. It could be, a receiver as well into the flat. And now you got that traditional zone read with the opportunity for the quarterback to pull and either throw the ball in the flat, or if a defender comes down to play the flat, you have the vertical option as well. Obviously, the quarterback's a great threat as a runner here as well. So now the slice option, you're really reading the backside end instead of blocking them. And again, now if this end comes flying up the field to play the quarterback, you still have that cutback lane available to you. Split zone load. This is one that Western makes a killing on. You're going to take your fullback and cross the set. Again, now you're going to read the defensive end, and that fullback is going to become a lead blocker for the quarterback. This is really tough because the quarterback can still throw the ball down the field. You're going to run off the two defensive backs there, give them a really hard time, two routes that take them off the board. And now as the offense strings the fullback, you're going to have that fullback block the linebacker that, is kind of replacing the defensive end in a contained position. So again, here I drew it up as if the D end chased the dive. If the D end is chasing the zone, quarterback's going to pull it and force one of those two defensive backs to come down and play him. If they don't, then you're going to be able to put the ball, in the air vertically, and you could get a big play. If they're able to, if they take those two routes off the board, now you have a lead blocker for your quarterback and a ton of space. And this is something a lot of teams, have taken advantage of, and I think would be a great high school play. Something that I think if you have a mobile quarterback, and a guy that likes to get out and move, I think this is one of the best high school plays in football You know, that defensive end can't be right. If he shuffles tight to the line of scrimmage and loses, you know, the edge and contain, now you got a great athlete out in space with a lead blocker. You know, if he flies up the field, now you're giving the football and it's getting creased in behind him. It's a really tough play to defend. Here's a clip again of Western running it. You know, this is a super common play. You know, whether it's here, you're showing it almost off that crack look. So, you know, this is kind of, again, dressing it up to almost another level. But now you're going to show the crack. Okay, pin these two guys down. And if the end stays inside, boom, the quarterback's going to pull it and get on the edge, right? And now you got a lead blocker for that quarterback, ultimately able to pick you up a first down. Really, really tough to defend. I'm just going to pull that back again. So they're going to read the defensive end here. The defensive end's going to chase the dive. Again, it's tough for that defensive end because he's seeing the fullback, right? That might trigger some sort of exchange in their defense. Okay, but now the guys who would run the exchange are getting blocked, and we got a lead blocker for the quarterback. Virtual Football Clinic watching from Winnipeg. Appreciate it, guys. This is great. Yeah, Coach JG, this is great. If teams play scrape exchange, that's a scrape exchange killer. You know, it's really, really hard to play scrape exchange. You see here, I think Waterloo's trying to play scrape exchange. It is a great game, by the way. Playoff game from the OUA last year. If anyone's looking to watch a great football game and has access to some OUA film, both teams, it's a phenomenal game both ways. Really enjoyed watching it, putting this together. Third variation here, and I'm trying to do as much, you know, Canadian content as possible. So I've gone away a little bit, you know, from the American stuff. But when there's a great idea, I want to show it. So this is split zone RPO, which is, I would say, one of the biggest concepts that's kind of blown up in the States the last couple of years. Appreciate the likes, coaches 12 on there. That's amazing. If you're watching, please throw a like on here. It helps more people find it and see it. You'll see 88 cross the set. He's going to be your split zone player. Okay. And now you're going to read the will linebacker. The will linebacker executes his run fit. You could throw stop. You could throw glance. You could throw out. I talked a little bit about this in my Alabama breakdown. They did some of that as well. But I want to find some new film for you guys. So here's Ohio State running it. Okay. The will steps up. I actually think that's Jesse Lucchetta, an Ottawa native. And Fields is now going to pull the ball. Now we got one-on-one, right? So if he's backing up, we can run the stop. If he's down, we could take the shot on the fade. But you're just creating that one-on-one situation. So here you see it from the tight. It's not Lucchetta, it's 10. So again, because of the look, you know, if you're looking at this in the Canadian game, this would be 3-by-1, 2-back. Right. So if you get a team that's going to HBO, okay, now you can RPO the boundary. I talked a little bit of this in RPOs last week, but if you get a team that's not going to HBO, you could flip this around and RPO the field. So you're going to get the one-on-one to the boundary if the backer doesn't expand. So now you RPO them with the split zone. You see it from the tight here. They actually flip it based on the formation. Okay, so they were originally going to RPO the field. They flip it, RPO the boundary. Okay, again, now the end is sitting. Okay, the thing I like about this with the split zone is you're going to get a chance to throw this even vertically if you want, because now you're going to block up that end man on the line of scrimmage. So you don't have to worry about your quarterback getting hit. Pull it out, easy completion. Also helps quite a bit if teams want to live in the 4-eye tight front